Bluetooth mode.
Great leadership is like growing a thriving group of fruit-producing papaya trees. John Strzelecki. A papaya tree planted completely alone, isolated from all others, will grow tall with broad leaves but never produce a single piece of fruit. It needs other trees nearby, close enough to share pollen and shade, far enough to have room to grow. Without that community, all its potential goes to waste. This strange fact about papayas reveals something profound about how organizations really work. When you plant hundreds of papaya seeds in rich soil and water them carefully, dozens of tiny sprouts push through the dirt within weeks. At first, they all look the same, small green shoots reaching toward the sun. But as they grow to a few inches tall, the ones with slightly bigger leaves start blocking sunlight from their neighbors. Their roots stretch deeper, grabbing more water. Meanwhile, the smaller plants begin to yellow and wilt. Leave them alone, and by the time these plants reach 2 feet tall, 3/4 will be dead. Even the survivors stop growing, somehow sensing their bucket can't support them all. You started with hundreds of seeds full of potential. You end with a few stunted plants that will never bear fruit. But there's a simple fix that changes everything. When the plants reach about a foot tall, before the competition turns deadly, you save them. Take 4 or 5 and give them their own bucket with fresh soil. Suddenly, they all keep growing. Once they outgrow these buckets, you plant them in small groups, close enough to pollinate each other and share shade, yet far enough apart to spread their roots wide. A senior executive at a massive entertainment company never understood this principle. At a leadership summit, he stood before other executives and proudly explained how he ran his division, about 2,000 people total. His secret? Make them compete for everything. Need a budget for a project? Fight for it. Want recognition at the quarterly meeting? Outshine your peers. Hoping for a promotion? Beat out the person sitting next to you. Within 4 years, his strategy destroyed the company from the inside. The collapse followed a predictable pattern. First, the best talent started leaving for a hungry startup across town. Then, market share began sliding. Revenue dropped, yet executives still spent their energy blaming each other rather than working together. The VP sharing this story eventually quit, too. Despite all the warning signs, the toxic culture never changed. Think about your own workplace. Maybe you're keeping your best ideas quiet so others won't steal credit. Maybe your boss turns team members against each other, believing pressure creates performance. People, like trees, need room to grow without threatening others. Knowledge should flow freely between teams. Someone's success should create opportunities, not resentment. That's how you build teams where people share knowledge freely, develop into strong leaders, and create results that multiply across the entire organization, like a grove of trees producing abundant fruit year after year. Profit-boosting secrets. The best profit-boosting opportunities lie in optimizing the relationships you have with your existing customers. John Strzelecki. Most businesses chase new customers when profits go down. It feels logical. More customers should mean more money. But studies by Capgemini and Gartner Group show that acquiring a new customer costs 3 to 7 times more than getting an existing customer to buy again. You're throwing money away while ignoring the gold mine already in your database. The key to unlocking that gold mine starts with knowing exactly who your most valuable customers are. Step 1 focuses on finding and strengthening your pillars. Picture your business as a structure sitting on 5 pillars over shark-infested waters. These 5 customers contribute most to your bottom line. Can you name them instantly? Most companies can't, and that's dangerous. Losing even one pillar could range from serious to catastrophic. Yet problem customers usually get the most attention, followed by efforts to win new accounts. Your pillars, the customers keeping you afloat, get whatever time is left. You need to flip this completely. Give your pillars your best service, your fastest responses, your smartest people. Make yourself so valuable they'll never crumble. Once you've secured your foundation, step 2 requires taking inventory of your offerings. List everything you sell and rank it by profitability. Then create a grid. Customers across the top, ordered by importance, and products down the side, ordered by profit. Mark where each customer currently buys from you. This becomes your profitability map, a visual guide showing exactly where money flows through your business. Step 3 attacks the gaps on that. Every empty box represents missed revenue, especially those gaps with your pillar customers. Your best clients probably don't know half of what you offer. They came to you to solve one problem, but have no idea you could solve 5 others. Start with your pillars and your most profitable products. Educate them about these other ways you can serve them. You're not pushing. You're finding needs they already have and showing solutions they didn't know existed. Finally, step 4 focuses on learning from your lovers, those customers who buy almost everything you sell. These aren't just loyal customers, they're teachers. Interview these customers to understand what keeps them coming back. Maybe it's a specific salesperson's approach or how you handle their account. Then interview the employees who serve them. You'll uncover patterns that create deep loyalty. These discoveries become your blueprint for turning regular customers into enthusiasts. The logic flows naturally. Secure your most important relationships first. Understand what you have to offer. Systematically fill the gaps starting with high-value opportunities. Then learn from your successes to replicate them everywhere else. Your existing customers already trust you. They've already budgeted for solutions like yours. While competitors exhaust resources hunting for strangers, you're strengthening relationships with people who already believe in what you do. That's how you boost profits, by optimizing what's already working. Your big 5. The 5 things so important to us that if we did, saw, or experienced them, then in our last moments, those final seconds before we pass away, we could look back over our life and know it was a success. John Strelecki. 1 in 6 20-year-olds won't make it to retirement. Nearly 30% of those who do will be disabled. People work 40 or 50 years dreaming of climbing the Eiffel Tower or exploring the Australian outback, then never make it. And those who do often watch from inside tour buses because they can't walk on their own anymore. This harsh reality reveals something most leaders miss entirely. 95% of people list travel the world as one of their big 5 for life, their 5 most important goals. Yet typical leadership operates like a parent who says, "I love you" once a year on their child's birthday, but does nothing the rest of the year to show it. Leaders stand on stages annually and send video messages thanking employees for work they don't understand, then wonder why people burn out. The Big 5 for Life concept comes from an African safari tradition. When people go on safari, guides talk about the African Big 5, the lion, leopard, rhinoceros, elephant, and buffalo. Visitors evaluate their safari success by how many of these 5 they see. Life works the same way. Your big five for life are the 5 things you most want to do, see, or experience before you die. They're so important that if you achieve them, you could look back in your final moments and know your life was a success. Not as society defined it, not as your boss defined it, but as you defined success for yourself. Most people spend their entire careers chasing paychecks instead of these 5 essential experiences. But that's exactly why burnout is so common in most companies. It happens when you spend long nights working towards something you don't care about. Something with only one benefit, putting enough money in your bank account so you can eventually stop doing it. But what if work itself fulfilled you? What if your job helped you achieve your big 5 for life? Instead of getting drained each day, you'd get energized. And energized people don't quit, they produce. Leaders aren't just in the business of business, they're in the business of life. Creating an environment where people succeed doesn't mean once a year, when there's budget left over. It means every single day. Real leadership means helping people fulfill their dreams now, not promising them a distant retirement they might never reach. When everything you do connects to what matters most to you, work stops being something to endure. It becomes part of living successfully by your own definition. You can cancel trips, postpone dreams, and put off loved ones. But why? The clock keeps ticking, whether you're living fully or just existing. Which path energizes you more? Leaders follow winners. As a leader, if there's something wrong in one of my companies, it's my fault first. John Strelecki. You arrive at Bali's airport after an incredible week, ready to fly home. Suddenly, they hit you with a $70 exit tax. You've spent your last local currency, so you're forced to exchange money at terrible rates at the airport. Your amazing vacation ends with anger and resentment. Why would any business guarantee their customer's final memory is negative? But companies do this constantly. For example, airlines charge booking fees when customers book their own tickets online, billing them for doing the airline's work. When these problems persist, leadership is responsible. Leaders set the culture, create the policies, and own every customer frustration. These frustrating experiences reveal that most leaders copy what they see others doing, assuming it must be right since everyone does it. But what if you had to learn from the right people immediately? Imagine a stranger knocks on your hotel door with life-changing news. An eccentric relative left you $20 million on Mount McKinley summit. There's a catch. You must reach the top in 24 hours to claim it. If you fail to try, fail to catch your flight, or fail to reach the summit in time, a hired assassin will take your life. You have the key to the money box and a plane ticket leaving in 5 hours. By chance, you discover your hotel is hosting a Mount McKinley climbing conference. The room splits into 3 groups: people who attempted but never reached the summit, people who succeeded but took days or weeks, and people who made it within 24 hours. Who would you approach for advice? You'd obviously choose the successful speedsters. But in business, leaders waste precious time studying failures instead of learning from winners. They attend conferences complaining they're tired of hearing about successful companies like Nordstrom, Starbucks, or Google, and demand stories about different ones instead of diving deeper into what actually works. Your company's survival depends on knowing how to succeed, not looking for ways to fail. Great leadership is like teaching kids to use the subway. First, show them how to purchase tickets, then watch as they do it themselves. Have them identify your location on the map and announce the stops. Deliberately let them miss their station once or twice, teaching them to backtrack when mistakes happen. All this occurs while you're present, creating an error-free environment. Eventually, these same kids confidently navigate Rome's metro or Tokyo's complex rail system alone. Leaders who hoard knowledge and demand approval for every decision create helpless teams. Those who transfer skills create independent thinkers who solve problems without constant supervision. True leadership isn't about working harder than everyone else, but about learning from the best, teaching what you know, and building systems that multiply your impact through others. Your legacy won't be measured in hours worked, but in lives transformed and potential unleashed. Extra lives. They get a paycheck. They get progress toward their big five for life. So their life is a success as they define success, and they get 4 extra lives. John Strzelecki. Would you like to live 4 more lives? Most people spend 50 hours each week at jobs they don't like. You commute, sit through meetings, and complete tasks you wouldn't do if they weren't paying you. By the time you get home and eat dinner, you're left with maybe 12 and a half hours of real living out of an entire work week. But imagine getting paid to do things you choose to do anyway. You wake up excited about prospects that matter to you. Your work aligns with your personal purpose. Instead of watching the clock until 5, you lose track of time because you're engaged in something meaningful, and those 50 hours at work become as fulfilling as your free time. You're not living one life with tiny pockets of joy. You're living 5 simultaneous lives. This isn't fantasy. Progressive companies now only hire people whose personal purpose for existing aligns with the organization's purpose. They ensure employees' big 5 for life connect directly to their daily work, so it becomes progress toward personal dreams, not time stolen from them. One executive at a leadership summit loved the concept of purpose for existing and the big 5 for life, but admitted he'd never share it with his employees. They'd all leave, he said. But his people are already so unmotivated that they're ready to flee at the first opportunity. How productive can they be watching the clock? How well do they treat customers when they're miserable themselves? His company had been slowly growing over the last decade and was profitable each year. But with that type of environment, he was leaving most of the profits on the table. When you give people 4 extra lives, they don't just work harder. They do more for you. They are more for you. And they work harder for you than you can imagine. They bring creativity you didn't know existed. They solve problems you didn't know you had. They treat customers like friends because they're genuinely happy to be there. Great results follow naturally. The company's success becomes their success, not through manipulation or fear, but because achieving the company's purpose fulfills their own. You have 2 choices. Keep trading 50 hours weekly for a paycheck, living for those precious 12 and a half hours, or find or create work that gives you 4 more lives. When your daily efforts feel meaningful and important, work becomes something worth waking up for. Wrapping up. Great leadership, lasting profitability, and meaningful work all stem from one truth. People flourish when they are supported, valued, and connected to a greater purpose. The papaya tree metaphor illustrates this powerfully. Growth happens best in environments where people collaborate rather than compete for survival. In business, that means fostering teams that freely exchange knowledge, create opportunities for one another, and succeed together. Building that kind of culture has a direct impact on profitability. Rather than constantly chasing new customers, the real gains often come from strengthening relationships with the ones you already serve. By identifying your pillar clients, focusing on your most profitable offerings, and strategically filling gaps in those relationships, you create both stability and opportunity. This focus on relationships also aligns closely with the Big 5 for Life concept, which challenges leaders to connect daily work to people's most important life goals. When individuals can advance personal dreams while contributing to an organization's mission, burnout fades and energy grows. Leaders who help their teams live fully in the present, not just in some distant retirement, create workplaces where engagement and purpose drive performance. To make that possible, exceptional leaders learn from proven successes and actively share their knowledge, building independent thinkers rather than dependent followers. By empowering others to make decisions and solve problems, they multiply their impact and ensure the organization's success isn't dependent on any single person. When work connects with personal purpose, it transforms how people experience each day. Instead of living only for a few hours outside the office, they gain 4 extra lives as their work becomes as fulfilling as their free time. Companies that nurture this connection unlock creativity, loyalty, and extraordinary results. When work connects to personal purpose, the hours spent on the job become as rewarding as time off. People bring more ideas, more loyalty, and more of themselves. And that's how companies stop surviving quarter to quarter and start growing year after year.
We hope you enjoyed this read. If it made you think or smile, consider leaving us a rating and sharing your thoughts. Your input helps us make the app even better. Excited for more? Test your knowledge with a quiz and dive into your next title. Up next, another summary we think you'd like. The Demon-Haunted World by Carl Sagan, co-authored with Andrienne. The Believing Brain. We sometimes see what isn't there. We are prey to optical illusions. Occasionally we hallucinate. We are error-prone. Carl Sagan. The human brain is both a tool and a trap, and it's been that way for most of history. Our brains are pattern recognition machines, and that's been great for our survival. For instance, prehistoric people who could quickly spot a face in the bushes, even if it was just shadows, lived longer than those who couldn't. The jumpy ones who saw threats that weren't there passed on their genes. The ones who missed real threats, not so much. Yet this same ability that kept us alive now makes us see faces on Mars, canal systems that don't exist, and conspiracies in random events. We're not broken. We're working exactly as designed. The problem is our Stone Age brains navigating a space-age world. A similar thing applies to how our memories work. They're not like video recordings we can replay. Instead, every time we remember something, we're basically reconstructing it from scratch. And each time we do this, we can accidentally change things. Add a detail here, forget something there. Therapists asking leading questions, friends sharing similar stories, even just our current mood. All of these can literally rewrite our past. And whether you see demons, fairies, or aliens depends mostly on when and where you live. Medieval folks saw incubi and succubi. Our great-grandparents saw ghosts and spirits. Today we see gray aliens with big eyes. Same brain glitches, different costumes. Sleep paralysis, seizures, half-awake hallucinations. These create intense, real-feeling experiences that we interpret through our cultural lens. So if your friend swears they saw something weird, or you spot patterns everyone else thinks are crazy, remember, your brain's doing what it does best. It's trying to protect you by finding faces in shadows and connecting dots that might not connect. Once you get how this works, you realize we're all walking around seeing slightly different versions of reality. Candle in the dark. Science is a way to call the bluff of those who only pretend to knowledge. It is a bulwark against mysticism, against superstition, against religion misapplied to where it has no business being. If we're true to its values, it can tell us when we're being lied to. Carl Sagan. Science is not just a body of knowledge, but a way of thinking, of questioning things based on evidence, testing, and self-correction. We needed to tell apart reality from illusion, protecting us from the demons of superstition, pseudoscience, and manipulation. It's the greatest toolkit we've ever invented for figuring out what's true and what's not. We all have beliefs and ideas about how the world works. Maybe you believe that cold weather causes colds, or that your lucky socks help your team win. Science gives us a way to test these beliefs against reality. Science works because it assumes we're all capable of being wrong. Every scientific paper includes error bars, those little lines that basically say, we're pretty sure, but not completely. Try finding that kind of honesty in politics or advertising. When scientists make mistakes, other scientists can't wait to prove them wrong. They try to repeat experiments. They test ideas in new ways. They argue and debate. Eventually, bad ideas get weeded out and better ones take their place. No other system of knowledge has this built-in quality control, and it does deliver results. Your great-great-grandmother probably lost children to diseases we now prevent with a simple shot. We can predict exactly when and where eclipses will happen centuries from now. Your smartphone has more computing power than entire governments had 50 years ago. No prayer, crystal, or horoscope has ever achieved anything close. This matters because we live in a world full of people trying to fool us.
Assalamualaikum.
GPS wouldn't work without it. On the flip side, if you believe everything, you'll start believing in crystal detail. You'll fall for every scam, conspiracy theory, and piece of nonsense that comes your way. The trick is knowing when to use which attitude. When someone presents a new idea, first be open. Listen. Consider it. Could this be true? What would it mean if...
Tarik lah.
Bluetooth mode.
Look for flaws. Test it against what you already know. Does it hold up? This isn't just for scientists. This balance helps everywhere in life. Buying a used car, be open to the seller's claims about how great it is, but skeptically check under the hood. Dating someone new, be wonderfully open to falling in love, but keep your eyes open for red flags. Reading health advice online, consider new approaches, but demand good evidence before trying them. Progress happens when wonder and skepticism work together. Wonder says, what if? Skepticism asks, is it really? Together, they help us discover real truths while avoiding costly mistakes. Demons, old and new. The more who under torture confessed to witchcraft, the harder it was to maintain that the whole business was mere fantasy. In a credulous age, the most fantastic testimony was soberly accepted. Carl Sagan. Human vulnerability and suffering were heavily exploited in the past, becoming practically a business model. Sadly, we haven't really changed. The costumes are different, but the show's the same. Think about how the witch trials work. Someone points at you and says, witch. Suddenly you're guilty until proven innocent. They torture you until you confess. If you question the process, well, you must be a witch too. The whole system feeds itself. The judges get paid per conviction. The church gets your verdict. Everyone except you win. Fast forward to today. A therapist suggests that maybe you were abused as a child. You don't remember. That's proof it happened. You repressed it. Through months of expensive therapy, memories suddenly appear. Question the process. You're in denial. The therapist gets paid whether the memories are real or not. See the pattern? It's everywhere once you start looking. Faith healers who blame failed cures on the lack of faith. Alien abduction experts who find aliens in every shadow. Satanic panic investigators who see devil worship in daycare centers. They all follow the witch trial example. No real evidence needed. Questioning means you're part of the problem and someone's always making money. We need to know how to spot these patterns, how to ask for evidence without feeling like we're being difficult, how to say prove it even when it feels rude or skeptical. Because when we don't teach critical thinking in schools, at home, anywhere, we're basically hanging "please exploit me" sign around everyone's neck. The double light. Science confers power on anyone who takes the trouble to learn it. Science thrives on, indeed requires, the free exchange of ideas. Its values are antithetical to secrecy. Carl Sagan said, "Science and democracy are more connected than you think. What do both systems need and work properly? Scientists need to share data freely, question each other's work, and change their minds when evidence proves them wrong. Citizens in a democracy need these same habits. When countries shut down free speech, science suffers. The Soviet Union couldn't stay technologically competitive while also controlling what people could think and say. The same habits that make good scientists asking tough questions, challenging authority, thinking for yourself, also make troublesome citizens for dictators. The reverse is true too. When people don't understand how science works, democracy gets shaky. If you can't evaluate evidence, how do you choose between candidates? If you don't understand cause and effect, how do you judge if a policy worked? Citizens who can't think scientifically are sitting ducks for anyone with a convincing story and a loud voice. This is why the Founding Fathers were interested in science. Jefferson, Franklin, and others understood that the skills you need to do good science, questioning, testing, debating, are the same skills you need to be a free citizen. They designed our government like a scientific experiment, with checks and balances that work like peer review. Want to be a better citizen? Think like a scientist. Want to protect democracy? Make sure everyone learns how to think critically. This matters right now, especially because every scroll through your phone tests these skills, from spotting fake news to choosing who gets your vote. Fire without Prometheus. We've arranged a global civilization in which most crucial elements, transportation, communications, and all other industries, profoundly depend on science and technology. We have also arranged things so that almost no one understands science and technology. This is a prescription for disaster. Carl Sagan. The more we rely on science and tech in our daily lives, the scarier it gets that so many people don't really understand how any of it works. We're like people living in a house full of complex machinery we don't comprehend, pushing buttons and hoping for the best. What could go wrong? Well, everything. Here's what scientific illiteracy looks like in real life. People spending thousands on quantum healing crystals while skipping proven medical treatments. Voters making decisions about climate policy without understanding what carbon dioxide does. Parents refusing vaccines based on a discredited study they haven't even read. Entire nations are falling behind economically because their citizens can't do the technical jobs the modern world requires. But it gets worse. When people don't know how things work, they're easy to manipulate. A politician can say that the economy is bad because of something entirely made up. Without understanding economics, how do you know if they're lying? A company can claim their product uses revolutionary technology, and without basic science knowledge, you can't tell innovation from obvious scams. The worst worst part is that the very people making decisions about nuclear weapons, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and climate change might not really understand these technologies either. We're handing matches to people in a room full of gasoline, and most of them think it's water. The solution isn't to become scientists ourselves. It's to learn enough to ask good questions, spot obvious nonsense, and make informed decisions. Because in a democracy, we're all in charge of the machinery. We'd better learn what the buttons do. Wrapping up, the world is full of mysteries, but not all of them are real. Your brain, that amazing pattern spotting machine that kept your ancestors alive, now makes you see faces in clouds, in conspiracies and coincidences. You're not broken, you're just using Stone Age hardware in a modern world. That's where science comes in. It's not just facts and textbooks. It's a way of thinking that helps you sort reality from illusion. When someone claims their miracle cure works, science gives you the tools to ask, prove it, without feeling rude. It's like having a built-in lie detector for the universe. But here's the trick. You can't be all skeptical or all believing. You need both. Be open enough to consider that time really does slow down when you move fast. It does. But skeptical enough to question that expensive quantum healing bracelet. This balance helps everywhere, from buying a car to evaluating political promises. Speaking of politics, science and democracy are best friends. Both need people who question authority, share information freely, and change their minds when evidence says they're wrong. The skills that make good scientists also make good citizens. When people can't think critically, they become easy targets for anyone with a convincing story. We live in a world powered by technology most of us don't understand. It's like living in a house full of complex machinery where nobody knows what the buttons do. When you can't tell real innovation from obvious scams, when you vote on climate policy without understanding basic science, when you make health decisions based on social media posts, that's when things get dangerous. You don't need a PhD, just learn enough to ask good questions and spot obvious nonsense. Because in our connected world, thinking clearly isn't just useful, it's essential for survival. We hope you enjoyed this read. If it made you think or smile, consider leaving us a rating and sharing your thoughts. Your input helps us make the app even better. Excited for more? Test your knowledge with a quiz and dive into your next title. Up next, another summary we think you'd like. Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. So it goes. Vonnegut spent 23 years trying to write about the Allied bombing of Dresden, where 135,000 people died. He thought it would be easy, just report what he saw as a soldier. Instead, he produced 5,000 pages and threw them all away, because there is nothing intelligent to say about a massacre. Everyone is supposed to be dead afterward, quiet forever, except for the birds. And what the birds say about the worst destruction of human life is all there is. Hoo-tee-weet. This meaningless bird chirping frames the entire novel. It appears when Vonnegut visits Dresden in chapter 1, and it becomes the last word of the book when protagonist Billy Pilgrim stands in the ruins after the bombing. A bird speaks to him. Hoo-tee-weet. That's all. No wisdom, no comfort, no meaning. Just nonsense syllables from a creature that doesn't care about human suffering. The phrase, so it goes, appears 106 times following every single death mentioned. Billy's father dies in a hunting accident. So it goes. Years later, his wife Valencia dies from carbon monoxide poisoning. So it goes. The entire city of Dresden burns. So it goes. The repetition drains meaning from death itself. By the 50th time you read it, the phrase becomes background noise, which might be exactly the point. How else can the mind process endless death except by making it meaningless? The novel's structure reflects this linguistic breakdown, short and jumbled and jangled, as Vonnegut admits to his editor. Sentences fragment, time time shatters. Billy watches a war movie backward, sees bombs sucking up from the ground, traveling backward into planes, eventually being separated into minerals and hidden in the earth where they can't hurt anybody. Sometimes going backward makes more sense than going forward. Sometimes nonsense explains more than sense. The Children's Crusade. War movies show soldiers making brave speeches before glorious battles. Slaughterhouse-5 barely has characters or confrontations because war turns people into listless playthings of enormous forces. Vonnegut gives us Edgar Derby, a 44-year-old high school teacher who pulled political strings just to enlist, standing up to Nazis and calling them lower than snakes. Then later, after surviving Dresden's firestorm, Derby gets shot for taking a teapot. That's the whole heroic arc. One decent speech, then executed for petty theft. Billy Pilgrim makes an even worse hero. He's shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle, loses the heel from his shoe, so he bobs up and down while marching, and wears a blue curtain as a toga with silver boots. When captured, he's described as a filthy flamingo. The German photographer stages propaganda photos of this pathetic American soldier. The subtitle of the novel, The Children's Crusade, came from a promise. Mary O'Hare, wife of one of Vonnegut's war buddies, got angry when he visited to discuss the war. She said, "You were just babies then." She thought he'd write it making war look wonderful, so we'll have a lot more of them. Vonnegut promised to show the truth. Wars are fought by children who don't come back as heroes. They come back broken, if they come back at all. The meat machine. Modern warfare reduces every living creature to materials. The Germans had a word for what happens to the American prisoners. They become liquid. Not people anymore, just matter that flows slowly. Billy watches this human liquid plop onto the ground and gobs, him nearly unable to move, thinking he'll shatter like glass. After Dresden burns, the survivors dig corpse mines, tunnels down to air raid shelters. Billy and a Maori prisoner break through to find dozens of people sitting dead on benches, perfectly preserved like wax figures by the lack of oxygen. Soon the bodies rot and liquefy, creating a deadly stench. The Maori, ordered back down to retrieve bodies, vomits so violently from the smell that he dies from the dry heaves. So the Germans find a better solution. Soldiers with flamethrowers stand outside and shoot fire into the shelters. No need to move the bodies, just burn them where they sit, like clearing a clogged drain. The horses aren't spared either. Billy and the other Americans find a wagon and 2 horses in Dresden's ruins. They load it with loot, treating the horses like machines. Later, 2 German obstetricians, doctors who delivered babies before the hospitals burned, show Billy what he's done. The horses' mouths are bleeding from the bits. Their hooves are broken. Every step meant agony. They're insane with thirst. Billy looks at the horses and bursts into tears. He hadn't cried about anything else in the war. Not the massacre in Dresden, not the corpse mines, not his friends dying. 2 suffering horses break him completely because their pain is small enough to comprehend, while Dresden's death toll is just a number too big to feel. Everything was beautiful. Billy Pilgrim first sees Dresden from a boxcar, and the sight makes him stop breathing. The city looks like a Sunday school picture of heaven with its intricate skyline. Churches, palaces, bridges, all untouched while every other German city burns. In about 30 days, all of it will be ash. Werner Gluck, the teenage German guard, leads Billy and Edgar Derby through Dresden, looking for the kitchen. He opens the wrong door. Inside are 30 teenage girls from Breslau, refugees with nowhere else to go, taking a communal shower. They're naked, they scream, cover themselves, turn their backs, and in that moment of terror and embarrassment, they made themselves utterly beautiful. Not despite their vulnerability, because of it. Billy and Werner have never seen naked women before. The moment burns itself into memory, more real than the war around it. Beauty keeps appearing where it shouldn't. Billy's morphine dream in the British compound features giraffes in a garden, eating sugar pears, their velvet-covered horns touching him gently. The British POWs perform Cinderella with grown men in ball gowns and silver boots, which Billy later wears, creating absurd art in a death camp. Even the guards' golden boots, stolen from a dead Hungarian colonel, gleam with their own strange light. After the bombing, after the corpse mines close, spring comes anyway. Billy and the others wake to find their door unlocked. The war is ended. They walk into a suburb where trees are leafing out. Birds are talking, not singing hymns to the dead or announcing redemption, just making bird sounds, because that's what birds do when spring comes, whether people died or not. Structured that way, Billy Pilgrim doesn't travel through time in any orderly fashion. One moment he's in a German boxcar in 1944, the next he's at his daughter's wedding in 1967, then suddenly he's being abducted and examined by aliens that call themselves Tralfamadorians. This jumbled experience mirrors what actual trauma does to the human mind. Memories don't file themselves neatly away. They ambush you. The Tralfamadorians have studied 31 inhabited planets across the universe. Earth has something unique that makes the aliens scratch their eye hands in confusion. Humans believe they make choices. Only on Earth is there any talk of free will, they tell Billy when he brings it up aboard their flying saucer. Everywhere else in the universe, beings accept that moments simply are, structured exactly as they must be. The Tralfamadorians give Billy a philosophy that makes anything bearable. They see time like we might see a mountain range, all of it visible at once. Aliens know exactly how the universe ends. A test pilot will press a button, experimenting with new saucer fuel, and everything disappears. Billy asks the obvious question, why not stop him? He has always pressed it, and he always will. We always let him, and we always will let him. The moment is structured that way. The Tralfamadorians know about their doom. They could prevent it, yet they cannot because the prevention never happens. It never happened, so it never will. This philosophy spreads through the novel like a virus. When Billy watches a war movie backward, sees bombs flying up in the planes, he imagines everything reversing to Adam and Eve, as if film could be rewound. But it can't. Billy's wife Valencia rushes to see him after his plane crash, gets carbon monoxide poisoning, and dies. Nobody chose that. The moment was structured that way, and that motion was always going to happen. Billy adopts this view completely. He responds to anything with pure Tralfamadorian logic. Everything is all right, and everybody has to do exactly what he does. No guilt, no what-ifs, no wondering about different choices. The architecture of time is fixed. We're bugs in amber, and the amber was always going to be exactly this shape. Wrapping up, war isn't heroic. It's children dressed in uniforms, shaped like Coca-Cola bottles, wearing blue curtains and silver boots from theater productions, dying for teapots. The truth hits differently when you strip away the glory. Wars turn people into liquid, flowing wherever they're told, dissolving under pressure. When faced with massive tragedy, language itself breaks down. What can you say about 135,000 people burning? Nothing intelligent, just nonsense syllables from birds who don't care. Poo, tea, wheat. Death becomes background noise through repetition. So it goes, loses meaning after the 100th time, which might be exactly how minds protect themselves from endless horror. Yet beauty persists in impossible places. Teenage girls accidentally glimpsed in a shower become beautiful through their vulnerability. Spring arrives after the corpse mines close, trees leaf out, birds make their sounds, not because humans deserve redemption, but because that's what spring does. The aliens offer a different lens. Maybe you're not making choices at all. Maybe every moment is structured exactly as it must be, like a mountain range you can see all at once. The universe ends when an alien presses a button. He always has, always will. Nobody stops him because stopping him never happens.
Siri.
This perspective isn't about
Hey
giving
Siri.
up. It's about
Can you please call Jen Tim?
Something went wrong.
Hey
Please
Siri.
try again.
Accepting what is while
Hey
noticing what
Siri.
remains. Two suffering horses
Hey
can break
Siri.
you when thousands of deaths can't.
Hey Siri.
Because small pain is comprehensible while
Siri. Can you please call Jen Tim? Call Jen Tim.
Sorry, something went wrong.
Fuck you.
Please try again.
of destruction is just numbers. Your bug's in amber, but the amber catches light sometimes. Everything is exactly as structured, and somehow, inexplicably, moments of beauty still exist within that structure. We hope you enjoyed this read. If it made you think or smile, consider leaving us a rating and sharing your thoughts. Your input helps us make the app even better. Excited for more? Test your knowledge with a quiz and dive into your next title.
Who's up next?
Judges hold interrogations without knowing the charges. The examining magistrate fills notebooks no one will read. Everyone hustles to generate paperwork and follow procedures, all to sustain a machine that produces nothing but more of itself. Consider the court offices in the attic that Kay visits. Defendants sit on benches in dark hallways, waiting to submit petitions that probably won't be opened. There's even a lawyer's room with a hole in the floor where attorneys poke their legs into the hallway below. Why? Who knows? That's just how things are done. The dysfunction has been formalized into tradition. The court painter Tittarelli nails the absurdity with apparent acquittal. You're acquitted. The file keeps circulating. You're arrested again, acquitted again, arrested again, forever. The court sustains itself by never resolving anything. Even the physical torture repeats. 2 nights in a row, Kay opens a door and finds the same beating scene about to begin. The court doesn't deliver justice. It delivers procedures that generate more procedures, meetings to schedule meetings, a bureaucracy feeding on itself. Struggle feeds the beast. Every move Kay makes to defend himself becomes another bar in his cage. Take his decision to hire the lawyer Huld. It sounds sensible. You're in legal trouble. You get a lawyer. But Kay trades independence for endless waiting and vague talk of connections. Huld explains nothing. He obscures everything with whispers about secret proceedings and invisible judges while doing nothing useful. So Kay tries another route. Tittarelli, who knows the judges. Tittarelli lays out the options. Real acquittal, which never happens. Apparent acquittal, temporary freedom, then rearrest. Or protraction, keeping the case in limbo through constant effort. Every path keeps Kay bound to the court. He pays to learn only that there is no exit. Worse, a door in Tittarelli's studio opens straight into court offices. There is no outside help, because everyone is already inside the system.
Hey Siri.
Other people offer the same trap. Lenny, the lawyer's nurse, seduces Kay while promising influence.
Siri.
The court usher's wife offers help while being handed over to judges on demand. These helpers are prisoners themselves, pulling Kay deeper into the web. Each relationship that looks like escape becomes a dependency.
Hey Siri.
Kay's appeals to justice backfire. He complains about the corrupt guards who arrested him, and the court tortures them, making him complicit. The 3 clerks he brings as character witnesses become court surveillance.
Hey Siri.
The court absorbs resistance like quicksand.
Hey Siri.
The harder you struggle, the faster you sink.
Hey Siri.
Erupted from within.
Can you please call Jen team?
The trial poisons every human connection Kay touches. First comes Fräulein Burstner, Kay's neighbor, someone he barely knew before the arrest. The court uses her room for his interrogation, pulling her into his case from the start. That night, when Kay tries to apologize, a simple conversation spirals into him kissing her throat like a thirsty animal. The trial has already warped his ability to relate to people. Burstner soon moves in with Fräulein Montag to avoid him, and their landlady, Frau Grubach, starts spreading rumors about her morality. One arrest, and the entire boarding house turns toxic. Then there's Lenny, who finds all defendants irresistible, not just Kay, but every man on trial. She even shows Kay her webbed fingers, as if this oddity links her to the accused. Their sexual encounter happens while Kay's uncle and a court official wait in the next room. Kay abandons an important meeting to fool around with someone who collects defendants like trophies. But real intimacy is impossible when desire itself is twisted by institutional power. Even Kay's uncle shows up not out of love, but to protect the family reputation. Kay's mother thinks he's
إن الهاتف المطلوب لا يمكن الاتصال به الآن. يرجى معاودة.
a lot.
إن الهاتف المطلوب لا يمكن الاتصال به الآن. يرجى معاودة الاتصال في وقت لاحق. The number you are trying.
Everyone maintains. His professional relationships crumble as the vice president encroaches on his territory.
Yo, what's up?
Hey Jen, kumusta?
Oh. Basta.
Kumusta? Ano, nakatawag ka?
Ha?
Nakatawag ka sa, ano? Doon sa...
Saan? Hindi ko natawagan.
Oh, kumusta na yung...
Okay na.
Okay
Pero
ka na?
Okay na.
Okay ka na? Very good. Kailan ka magpapakape?
Nagpapakape ko nga nagpakape dito.
Bakit ako?
Yung balita ko may mga bago kong mga racket.
Racket?
Bagong business.
Marami tayo racket.
Yes, ayun naman lagi ka ng maraming racket. Kung bago ka ba? Kamusta ang iyong Airbnb?
Ayos naman.
Yung mga apartments.
Ayos naman.
Nice.
Napunta ka kay Joel?
Ha?
Kailan ka pupunta doon? Punta tayo?
Kailan?
Ikaw?
Magkikita daw kayo ngayon eh. Sabi niya.
Ngayon?
Oo, ni Mayor.
Bakit?
I think so. May nakada kayo.
Ay, ganun ba? Hindi ko alam ah.
Oo. Hindi ba ito? Sabi niya sa akin eh.
Tinawagan ka ba niya?
Dadaan siya ngayon dito.
Okay.
Oo, dadaan siya ngayon dito. Kasi meron siyang ginagawang project dito sa amin.
Sige nga, tatawagan ko.
Tawagan mo muna, tapos tawagan mo ako.
Okay,
tayo dito.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
The trial doesn't just isolate Kay. It turns every bond into a power play or a transaction until real feeling is impossible to distinguish from manipulation. The crime of being alive. During Kay's arrest, the guard Willem says that the court doesn't seek out guilt among the population. It's attracted by guilt. The court doesn't investigate crimes and then arrest suspects. It senses guilt somehow, draws near to it, and only then does the arrest happen. Kay never learns what he supposedly did wrong because maybe he didn't do anything specific. the guilt exists first. The trial just gives it a shape. From the moment he's arrested, Kay begins producing the guilt the court claims to detect. He feels guilty for disrupting Frau Grubach's boarding house, for using Fräulein Bürstner's room, for the guards being punished. He starts acting guilty, sneaking around, lying about his whereabouts, destroying documents. By the time Titorelli says he's never seen a true acquittal, we see why. The trial manufactures guilty people. Once you're in, innocence becomes impossible. Shame piles onto Kay throughout the year. He's ashamed of his weakness before the vice president, of needing help from women, of his ignorance of the court. This shame isn't tied to any crime. It grows from the trial itself, from being marked as someone who must defend himself against invisible charges. A year after it all began, two strangers appear in Kay's room again. This time, they're executioners. As Kay dies, his last thought isn't about injustice or protest. He says, like a dog, and thinks the shame will outlive him. The executioners even expect him to grab the knife and kill himself, to become the final participant in his own guilt. The trial's ultimate victory is making Kay die feeling he deserves it. The court manufactures guilt, then harvests the shame, and makes everyone feel criminal just for existing within its reach. Wrapping up. The system that traps Joseph K. never reveals its purpose. It simply exists, feeding on those caught within it. The authorities stay hidden behind endless bureaucracy, while everyone below pretends to understand rules that nobody can access. This nightmare works through psychological imprisonment. You're under investigation, yet free to go about your life. That contradiction becomes the torture. Your mind races through scenarios, replaying conversations, searching for meaning that was never there. The uncertainty eats away at your focus, your relationships, and eventually, your sense of self. The system sustains itself through meaningless motion. Officials file papers, nobody reads. Judges hold hearings about unknown charges. Lawyers promise help while delivering nothing. Every attempt at resistance strengthens the trap. When you hire legal counsel, seek connections, or file appeals, each defensive move pulls you deeper into dependency on the very structure you're fighting. Personal connections are corrupted under this pressure. Friends become informants, lovers manipulate for influence, and family members worry more about reputation than your well-being. You start believing you must have done something wrong, manufacturing guilt to match an accusation that was never specified. The final cruelty arrives when you internalize the shame so completely that you participate in your own destruction. The system wins through exhaustion, grinding down resistance until submission feels like the only option. You become complicit in maintaining the very machinery that crushes you, because at least that gives the suffering some meaning. The door to the law was always meant for you alone, and it stays forever closed.
We hope you enjoyed this read. If it made you think or smile, consider leaving us a rating and sharing your thoughts. Your input helps us make the app even better. Excited for more? Test your knowledge with a quiz and dive into your next title.
Apa next? Gila, batang ina mo. Diyan ka na. Shit.
The vehicle ahead has started moving.
Okay, next attempt. The murder.
Bluetooth mode.
The Big Five for Life by John Strzelecki. The Papaya Tree Lesson. Great leadership is like growing a thriving group of fruit-producing papaya trees. John Strzelecki. A papaya tree planted completely alone
isolated from all others, will grow tall with broad leaves but never produce a single piece of fruit. It needs other trees nearby, close enough to share pollen and shade, far enough to have room to grow. Without that community, all its potential goes to waste. This strange fact about papayas reveals something profound about how organizations really work. When you plant hundreds of papaya seeds in rich soil and water them carefully, dozens of tiny sprouts push through the dirt within weeks. At first, they all look the same, small green shoots reaching toward the sun. But as they grow to a few inches tall, the ones with slightly bigger leaves start blocking sunlight from their neighbors. Their roots stretch deeper, grabbing more water. Meanwhile, the smaller plants begin to yellow and wilt. Leave them alone, and by the time these plants reach 2 feet tall, 3/4 will be dead. Even the survivors stop growing, somehow sensing their bucket can't support them all. You started with hundreds of seeds full of potential. You end with a few stunted plants that will never bear fruit. But there's a simple fix that changes everything. When the plants reach about a foot tall, before the competition turns deadly, you separate them. Take 4 or 5 and give them their own bucket with fresh soil. Suddenly, they all keep growing. Once they outgrow these buckets, you plant them in small groups, close enough to pollinate each other and share shade, yet far enough apart to spread their roots wide. A senior executive at a massive entertainment company never understood this principle. At a leadership summit, he stood before other executives and proudly explained how he ran his division, about 2,000 people total. His secret? Make them compete for everything. Need a budget for a project? Fight for it. Want recognition at the quarterly meeting? Outshine your peers. Hoping for a promotion? Beat out the person sitting next to you. Within 4 years, his strategy destroyed the company from the inside. The collapse followed a predictable pattern. First, the best talent started leaving for a hungry startup across town. Then, market share began sliding. Revenue dropped, yet executives still spent their energy blaming each other rather than working together. The VP sharing this story eventually quit, too. Despite all the warning signs, the toxic culture never changed. Think about your own workplace. Maybe you're keeping your best ideas quiet so others won't steal credit. Maybe your boss turns team members against each other, believing pressure creates performance. People, like trees, need room to grow without threatening others. Knowledge should flow freely between teams. Someone's success should create opportunities, not resentment. That's how you build teams where people share knowledge freely, develop into strong leaders, and create results that multiply across the entire organization, like a grove of trees producing abundant fruit year after year. Profit-boosting secrets. The best profit-boosting opportunities lie in optimizing the relationships you have with your existing customers. John Strelecki. Most businesses chase new customers when profits go down. It feels logical. More customers should mean more money. But studies by Capgemini and Gartner Group show that acquiring a new customer costs 3 to 7 times more than getting an existing customer to buy again. You're throwing money away while ignoring the gold mine already in your database. The key to unlocking that gold mine starts with knowing exactly who your most valuable customers are. Step 1 focuses on finding and strengthening your pillars. Picture your business as a structure sitting on 5 pillars over shark-infested waters. These 5 customers contribute most to your bottom line. Can you name them instantly? Most companies can't, and that's dangerous. Losing even one pillar could range from serious to catastrophic. Yet problem customers usually get the most attention, followed by efforts to win new accounts. Your pillars, the customers keeping you afloat, get whatever time is left. You need to flip this completely. Give your pillars your best service, your fastest responses, your smartest people. Make yourself so valuable they'll never crumble. Once you've secured your foundation, step 2 requires taking inventory of your offerings. List everything you sell and rank it by profitability. Then create a grid. Customers across the top, ordered by importance, and products down the side, ordered by profit. Mark where each customer currently buys from you. This becomes your profitability map, a visual guide showing exactly where money flows through your business. Step 3 attacks the gaps on that map. Every empty box represents missed revenue, especially those gaps with your pillar customers. Your best clients probably don't know half of what you offer. They came to you to solve one problem, but have no idea you could solve 5 others. Start with your pillars and your most profitable products. Educate them about these other ways you can serve them. You're not pushing. You're finding needs they already have and showing solutions they didn't know existed. Finally, step 4 focuses on learning from your lovers, those customers who buy almost everything you sell. These aren't just loyal customers, they're teachers. Interview these customers to understand what keeps them coming back. Maybe it's a specific salesperson's approach or how you handle an account. Then interview the employees who serve them. You'll uncover patterns that create deep loyalty. These discoveries become your blueprint for turning regular customers into enthusiasts. The logic flows naturally. Secure your most important relationships first. Understand what you have to offer. Systematically fill the gaps starting with high-value opportunities. Then learn from your successes to replicate them everywhere else. Your existing customers already trust you. They've already budgeted for solutions like yours. While competitors exhaust resources hunting for strangers, you're strengthening relationships with people who already believe in what you do. That's how you boost profits, by optimizing what's already working. Your Big 5. The 5 things so important to us that if we did, saw, or experienced them, then in our last moments, those final seconds before we pass away, we could look back over our life and know it was a success. John Strelecki. 1 in 6 20-year-olds won't make it to retirement. Nearly 30% of those who do will be disabled. People work 40 or 50 years dreaming of climbing the Eiffel Tower or exploring the Australian outback, then never make it. And those who do often watch from inside tour